What do you do when your business partner's your client and he is just obnoxious? All right, let's hear about it. This is the real story with Adam and Sherry. I'm Adam Hamalian.
And I'm Sherry Hutchens.
This is where two broker associates in Contra Costa County talk about all things real estate. Hi, Sherry. How's it going?
Hey, Adam, it's going great.
Yeah.
I'm the broker, you're the client.
Yes, I was going to say, is it still going great when your partner is neurotic about selling his childhood home and like bugs you all the time?
Been in the business a really long time. I'm used to this.
Yeah, but it's got to be a little bit harder when that your client thinks they know what's going on in real estate. Like all our clients think they do, but this client really is off the hook.
I think it's really amazing how quickly we turn into clients when we sell homes. I did this, and at one point during my career, my broker offered to list my home for me. So, because he said you really shouldn't do it yourself. And I was like, no, no, I can handle it. And about a week later, I was in his office crying. You wouldn't believe what's happening with my listing. Turned into a total seller.
Yeah, I
It's emotional.
yeah, and we have an offer date set next week, so hopefully I'll be out of my misery by then. And my brother, who is the co-seller, and he's leaving the country for 2 weeks. So I not only have I had to do most of the prep work, but now I'm going to have to deal with the actual contract negotiation without him. And you're going to have to hold my hand. I'm just going to say that I'm going to be a wreck.
I'm starting to think that I'm not a very good agent if my client is saying things like I'm miserable and I'm going to be a wreck.
Well, it has nothing to do with you. You know that, right? It has everything to do with my insecurities and, my dad's fingerprints on that house and how I've
It's
had to,
emotional.
yeah, I mean, just wanting, all the garbage we take from our childhood of wanting to impress our parents and say, look what
Yeah.
I've, it's
Yeah.
it's all of that. So
Well,
anyway,
from a real estate standpoint, you did all the right things. You made a beautiful home. It was has been well received. We had 100 groups come through over the weekend to take a look at it, and everybody raved about it. From an
yeah.
emotional standpoint, yeah, I'm not quite as good at that part of it, but I feel your pain. So it's going to be fine. People
All
love
right.
that house who are going
Thank,
to get a
thank
zillion
you.
offers.
I'm backing away from the ledge. All right. I'm actually really excited about the today's podcast because we have a guest that we've been working with over the years, sending clients back and forth to. It's Jen Kline from Kline Mann Realty Group in Placer. Hi, Jen. Welcome.
Hi, so
Hey,
happy to be here.
Jen.
Thanks so much for inviting me.
Of
Nice
course.
to meet you and Zoom, if not in person, finally.
You guys are getting me back up to speed with Zoom, so thank you.
Yeah.
You're doing
Um,
great.
so Jen owns her own brokerage, and so we're going to ask her a few questions about that. She works, and Jen, you can correct me here, but she works in Sacramento County, Placer County, and El Dorado County. So if you're kind of familiar with the Sacramento area, that's kind of the west northwest side of town, as opposed to going down towards Davis. Although I bet she'd go that far for the right clients.
I would, and I do. I was out in Tuolumne. I better learn how to pronounce it on Sunday. So I'll definitely go a little bit further, especially when it's a nice warm referral from someone and they want me to take care of them.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's great. So Jim, why don't you tell us how you got into real estate? For most of us, real estate's a second career, but I don't know for you. How did you get into real estate?
Well, it was really unexpected, to be honest. I had a background working in marketing and working for large companies, and I decided to join up with my in-laws helping people build homes. And what I found was that most agents didn't know or specialize in how to help someone purchase the land. And I really thought there was a niche there. And I thought, well, if I'm going to help them build their home, maybe I should help them buy their land. And so
Okay.
that's when I first got my license, and that was in 2006.
Oh, interesting. I don't think I realized that. So
Yeah.
that makes sense because one of the last clients that we sent your direction was somebody who was looking to build something
Yeah.
on themselves or for themselves.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. She's
Um, go ahead.
It seems like you cover a really big territory. I know Adam alluded to it, but in the beginning intro, but it seems like you cover, I mean, a huge territory.
I really do. I spend a lot of time on the road,
Yeah.
but it's all about relationships for me, Sherry. I know there's some agents that will move into a neighborhood and they'll just specialize in that neighborhood. I follow people and relationships. I end up helping the sister, the uncle, or the brother, and they might just not live right in my backyard, but I know that I can bring them that same service. So I do. I absolutely do refer to folks like you know, that can help them in areas that are just too far for me.
Mhm.
But if it's in, you know, an hour and a half, probably is about my limit, then I'll try to help
Oh,
them personally.
wow. We think, 30 minutes is about our limit, which is nothing compared to what you're doing up there.
Well, and it can depend on where you guys are at. How many miles might take how many hours? It's a little different here,
Right.
right?
Right. We do minutes instead of miles because of the Bay Area traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys have your share of traffic too.
we do, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially in some areas, it's getting worse.
Yep. Yep. Did I
Uh,
miss a section where you guys talked about how far, like, do you go into Tahoe?
I
Um,
do. So I do help folks in South Lake Tahoe. That's where my husband grew up, and I lived for a few years when we first got married. So I can definitely help people on the South Shore.
okay.
well,
And then you are in Sacramento?
So my office is actually in Roseville on
In
Douglas,
Roseville.
really central to Roseville. Although,
Okay.
like you mentioned, I'm covering all the other. I live in El Dorado County. A lot of my business is in Placer County, but then I'm also in Sacramento and the surrounding counties as well.
Goodness, I need to get out a map.
I usually have to show one to somebody.
I
yeah.
bet you do. I bet. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Sherry was in Sacramento in the last month or so at a quilt shop, but then there's I guess a famous or popular quilt shop all the way up in Grass Valley. Is that right, Sherry?
There's a big quilt shop up in Grass Valley. I'm a quilter, and so miles and minutes don't matter when you're going to a quilt shop.
See, it's
I'll
the
drive a
same with
long
me in
ways.
real estate.
And Rancho Cordova, there's one there as well, which is a long hike.
Oh, okay.
I
I
mean, they're
just got
both
a
a long
client
way.
into contract in Rancho Cordova.
Did you? Okay. All right. I've only been to kind of a semi-industrial area of it, but just beautiful country up there.
Come
So
on up,
different
I'll show
from
you
what
around.
I would be happy to do that.
We had a client that bought in your area, but they already had an agent, so we weren't able to pass your name on in a place called Cool, California.
Yeah. Very nice.
Is it all that it's like? Is it a good name? Is it a cool place to live?
I know everything's cool. All the shops there are cool. Yeah, I frequently go through cool anytime I'm going up to Auburn, which is where I'm from.
Okay.
And and I've helped people in Auburn Lake Trails there, and were they in the gated community
I'm
there? Is
not
that where they bought?
sure.
No, they did not.
Oh, okay.
They bought, it looked like on the edge of kind of an what we would call an open space. It looked like a little forest actually. And
Okay.
they bought a two-story home, and the second level had a deck all the way across the back side of it with rows of chaise lounge chairs
Oh, okay.
overlooking this forested area. Just beautiful looking home. I haven't seen it in person, but the pictures looked really cool.
Yeah.
Well, they were probably dealing with the not so cool fire insurance issues that they're going to have. All of cool is probably going to be on the fair plan, and they're going to be paying some higher prices there for insurance.
Yeah, I
I can only
bet.
imagine. Yeah. Yeah, what does that look like so we have a largely urban or suburban setting, but we do have some open spaces. In fact, there's a community within our market area called Orinda. Um, and right now, all of Orinda is probably on the fair plan that people's policies are being canceled. I had a client call us last week and said that his got canceled. How prevalent is that as you're showing homes or listing homes, the insurance issue?
I think it's so important to have that conversation with the client just from the very first meeting. I think everything in this business, you guys will agree, is about setting the right expectations, and getting people prepared. So at the moment, they're working with a lender and deciding, you know, assuming that they're not a cash buyer, deciding what they can afford, they need to factor in those insurance costs, and people might not understand it. They might be looking at a house that's currently insured with State Farm, which is not going to apply when they go to buy that house. So it's a really important conversation, and it's something that's absolutely changing day by day. So there might be an area 6 months ago that I was showing, and you could get a, you know, a traditional plan that now you're going to have to do the fair plan with a wraparound, policies. So you have to stay very current with it. I think it's important to have relationships with multiple insurance providers who can check for you. It's not easy to just go out and plug in an address, and you need someone to actually look and see, where you can get coverage. So, and you need to know what it is so you can know what you can afford.
Um, we had a property that a client was looking at, and it had some other issues like an old roof and some other things that made insurance a question mark. And they got a quote, and it was going to be $19,000 a year. And that the the agent or the insurance rep said that if they replaced the roof, it would drop down a little bit, but I think it was going to drop like from 19 to 16,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a budget changer, absolute budget changer when we talk about what your PITI, principal interest tax and insurance as your monthly housing cost. That's, you're adding $1,000 a month to
Right.
that cost, and that just changes everybody's numbers.
Yeah.
For the last couple of years, our practice has been as soon as a client identifies a property that they like, before we even start to talk about an offer, we have them call an insurance
This
agent
is
to
what you
try
have to
and see
do.
if it's insurable. And sometimes we submit a copy of an insurance letter, commitment letter with the offer so that we can show the other side that, yeah, it's insurable. We're serious about this property.
That probably makes you stand out among, when because I think you guys have more competition in your offers. That really probably makes you stand out that you're doing that work and you're educating your clients up front. And you're going to have less failed escrows when you have an agent like you that's going in there and doing that work up front.
That's our goal.
I used to always do that with Mello-Roos. People were
Oh,
just
yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
naive. They had no idea. And so I was always pulling the tax records and showing them up front so they understand the true cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have Mello-Roos where we work. If you go just a
Okay.
little east of here, out
Okay.
into Antioch and Brentwood, you'll find a little bit of it left. A lot of them have been paid off by now, but it's not that common anymore
We have a
here.
lot of Mello-Roos.
Yeah.
In the Roseville area, I know that there was a lot of building over the last, 20 years or so. Has that slowed down in recent years, or is there still a lot of new construction?
There's a lot of construction going on still, and it seems like new construction's booming.
Mhm.
Well, that's good to hear. Glad to
Yeah.
hear that. I mean,
More
because if
houses to
there's any
sell.
problem with California, we don't have enough housing. It's part
We
of the
don't
reason.
have enough land to build houses. Somebody will find, an acre somewhere and put in 4 houses, but we just don't have the land.
Yeah,
Send them up.
that's right. Exactly. We do. Um,
Exactly.
uh, So, how does what do you find when you're working with buyers and they are going to a new housing development? Do you need to walk them in to be able to represent them? How do you protect your clients? Because we know that when they walk into a construction office, the agent there is working for the seller and not the buyer's interest. So how do you prep your clients so that they get to keep representation?
That's a great question. It's actually part of that same initial conversation when we're talking about expectations, right? Because our clients have expectations and we have expectations too. And if our client doesn't understand what our expectations are, they're going to just be like, you know what, I didn't want to bother you, Jen. It was out on the weekend and we were driving around and we thought we'd go in and see these homes and, we registered and I think we want to buy one. And at that point, we just lost that opportunity for them to have
Mm,
that, individual representation, right?
mm,
So, and I think even now that we're signing these buyer, agreements that are mandatory, it just really opens the opportunity for that conversation, right? And you're having it then, and if you're going in, I'm not going to be able to represent you. If that's what you want, then, that is obviously your option. But if you want to have that representation that's just working and negotiating for you, then we need to be together on that first visit.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you found I actually kind of like the changes. I mean, like there's some cumberness to it, but I kind of like the buyer broker arrangement forms that we're using because it clarifies a whole bunch of things like you were just describing. It's like we're going to work for you. This is what our fee is.
Right.
Uh, and I've found it fairly easy to explain that to our clients. How about you two ladies? What do you think about that? Either of you?
Okay. I don't want
Uh,
to jump ahead of you,
well, you know
Sherry.
how I feel about it. Let's find out how Jen feels about
Okay.
it.
So I'm with you. I have a lot of mixed feelings. So we'll leave that there on the
Yeah.
whole settlement. But as far as the buyer agreement, I love it. I love that you have it is forcing a conversation about value with our clients. And I think it's something I probably should have always been doing, and I don't know why I didn't feel more comfortable. I don't want anybody to work with me that doesn't want to work with me. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if we have an agreement or we don't have agreement. If there is something in our course of our working together that my client's uncomfortable and they want to go in a different direction, then that is absolutely what I want them to do. So I never felt like I needed to tie somebody to me so that I didn't have anybody sign it. But what I've realized now that we are signing it, I feel like it just reaffirms our value.
Yeah.
We're showing we're doing it's list out. We are doing all these things, even though we were always doing them, but it's showing them we are doing all of this and we are making this commitment to each other. And so I 100% agree with you. I like it. I like that change.
Yeah. Well,
And
we're
we
like
haven't had
you.
any pushback on it. Sorry, Adam.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, there was so much fear mongering going on in the few, 8 months or so leading up to actually implementing the documents. And agents were just freaking out around here.
Oh my
And
gosh. I
we
again,
just seamlessly went into it and never had an issue with anybody pushing back. And they're like, yeah, yeah, we want to work with you. Where do we sign?
my
And
business hasn't changed.
ours hasn't either. In
Yeah.
fact, I think we've gotten busier since then. Um, and we haven't had any pushback with sellers paying for the commission. We haven't had anybody say, no, we're not going to pay the buyer's broker. They're all like, yeah, okay, we get it.
I think the media put a lot of information out there initially, and it was misinformation. And
Yeah.
I think that what it's caused is because I did have some clients call me up and say, "Hey, can you explain to me? I just saw this. Does this mean we don't need to pay anymore?" And
Yeah.
so we're having these, which is you got to kind of laugh because nobody's going to work for free. But
Mhm.
um, I love that they called me. I love that they said, I'm going to call Jen and I'm going to get what's really going on. And they wanted to know, is it going to cost me less to sell my house? Do I not have to pay? And so we're just having these really good conversations. And again, the more we talk and the more that, the more we add value, I think that we're able to explain this. So it's just that part's been really positive.
Every
We
once in
agree.
a while, you'll hear an anecdote about somebody saying they want to, sell a house without an agent in a hot market. They just put a sign out in front. And I think that sometimes as agents, we are overcritical of that person. And I think if you want to sell without an agent, that is absolutely fine. You're not breaking any moral code by doing that. But for every one person that wants to do it, there's another 90 people that want a trusted advisor like us because they don't want to educate themselves on all the laws and requirements. They want somebody to negotiate. So, like, just an example of hiring Sherry to sell my house is one of the best things, right? I mean, we were talking about earlier, but I just want to unhook from the actual negotiation process because it triggers so many things. And so even as a real estate professional with a broker's license, I actually would never sell a house without a buffer between me and the buyer's agent because it's worth every penny for both the professionalism but also my own mental health. And it's easy, and I think most people are feel the same way.
Well, and I always tell people that we, as agents and brokers, we should buy or sell be part of a transaction every few years just to refresh ourselves. Because even though we're in it every day and we're in the thick of it,
Yeah.
when you're there doing it yourself, it just brings everything back to light of those emotions that our clients are they're going through, right? It just brings
Yeah.
it so current. Or when you're at that signing table and you're like, God, this is a lot of paperwork.
Exactly.
How many signatures to buy a house? I mean, it's like 1,001.
How many redundant documents? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
One of the things I never get used to is that the buyer is signing the loan application at the closing table, right? Like they've applied for it online, but they're actually physically signing the loan application right before they sign the deed. Um,
But you know what's good, Adam, is now when they're signing it, they know what was on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
'Cause
that's right.
there
Because
were some crazy times, crazy times. I'm glad we're not going through those anymore.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit curious about your market.
Mhm.
Occasionally I dream about moving out of the urban setting into the foothills. I mean, right now I'm a little freaked out about insurance, but I used to say that I wanted, I'd like to buy a semi-rural property that might have a creek or something running through it.
Mhm.
Um, what's it like selling a house in the foothills that, maybe is an acre and a half or in the middle of the woods, but maybe not in the middle of the woods. What's that like as
I
opposed to
think he's
selling
trying to
something?
hire you, Jen.
Yeah, I might hire you.
You know,
Maybe to buy a place in
Sarah,
Cool. What's
well,
it compared to buying a new house in Roseville? Because those are seem like they're very different endeavors.
they're definitely different. There's all other, I mean, I'm sure that some of this does cross over, but if you start to buy a home that's in a rural area, there's just going to be other things to consider. Does it have a well? Is it on a septic system? Where are the parcel corners? Has it been marked? There's just things that you wouldn't even think about if you're over in Roseville, in a new development.
Yeah,
And so there's just all those other things that are going to come into, your inspections and making sure that, those systems are working properly. You mentioned stream. There's a lot of properties that have access to NID water, which is where you can buy water during, the summer or in the winter, and it's a lot less expensive. So if you have, if you're growing you have your a garden or an orchard or that type of thing, you've got this agricultural water that's really important that you get access to. And you need to know all of the extra information to make sure that that doesn't go away when you buy the property. So there's a lot of other pieces that you need to be aware of when you're buying something more rural. So I'll definitely be able to help you.
interesting. Do you have many clients that are trying to be off grid, like whether it's solar or, satellite connections as opposed to being on, cable or whatever? Like, what does that look like?
So I think that most of my clients these days, if it doesn't have solar, they want solar. Even in some of the lower, like there's Roseville Electric is a lot less expensive than PG&E, but um, so it factors in when it makes sense. But most of people want solar now. As far as being completely off grid, I do get those things once in a while, but not all that often. But we can work that out if that's what you're looking for.
All right. Well, my wife's not on board, so
Oh, okay.
don't the conversation's not going much farther. I dream about it, but my wife, even though she grew up in a rural outside of San Diego,
Okay.
in the high country, and she likes living in the city now. She didn't like driving an hour to get everywhere. Um, like to the grocery store or to high school or anything like that. So if you were gonna move to the foothills, would you go up 80 or up 50 if you were gonna
Oh
expand?
my gosh, you are tapping into something on this because I grew up on the 80 side and now I live on the 50 side. So, it's a thing with my friends. There's the
I
people on
bet.
the 50 side and there's the
Oh,
people on the 80 side. So it's a constant joke that we're, the dark, I won't say which one's the dark side, but there's so many pros and to each side, right? So when I'm helping people, which side do they want to be? It's really what do you like to do? What are the activities? What do you want to be close to? You're trying to get that person that commute time that they don't curse. I always say this. I don't want you cursing my name on your commute. I want to make sure that, it's comfortable and it's within, where your lifestyle is, where your work is. But both are wonderful places. I've lived on both. But yeah, I have several friends on the 80 sides and I get a lot of slack about the 50 side.
I think that
wow.
I think that I would probably I don't think I'd want to go farther up than Shingle Springs.
Okay.
I feel like you might get a dusting of snow there, but I don't want to do anything with snow, right? Because you go farther up, you get to Placer, then you get snow several times a year as opposed to just a dusting, right? Am I
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this season has been very kind. 2 years ago, we were getting so much snow. So, had family up in Camino, and my husband and I were up there, shoveling off the driveway, and it just
Wow.
kept snowing and snowing and snowing. So, when it's important for someone to be below the snow line, Shingle Springs is a pretty safe bet that you're going to get it once in a while,
yeah,
but it's not going to last.
yeah. All right. Well,
You have to
good to
be
know.
so knowledgeable about so many different things to work up in that area.
Well, I think you guys have so many things that you have to be knowledgeable that you could probably teach me if I was working down in your area.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. It just seems like there's more factors up there, more, more, sewer and septic and wells and snow and elevations and things like that.
We're less worried about earthquakes.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't have that many of them.
I,
Although
I,
we did have four on Friday in Hayward on the Hayward Fault.
We
yeah.
didn't have any, but we had four on Friday.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We
We
haven't
sold
had
a
any for a
house.
long time.
We sold a house, I think what, 3 years ago that
Yep.
was right above the Cal campus in Berkeley. It was directly over a fault line
It was
and
on the Hayward Fault.
on the Hayward fault line. Yeah. You might not know this, but the Hayward fault goes right underneath Cal's football stadium, right underneath Memorial
Yeah.
Stadium. So they recently, excuse me, completely upgraded it about 10 years ago. But this house was completely uninsurable for that reason, let alone fire insurance.
Wow.
It was in a high fire hazard zone as well.
High fire zone as well as right in the earthquake. And it was a mom bought it for her twin daughters who she didn't want them to go live in the dorm. So there's a buyer for every house. So she
That
paid
is
cash
true.
for it and did not get insurance. She's all self-insure.
It was a
Uh,
$1.5 million house.
Wow.
yeah.
A little 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath, maybe.
Yeah.
I
Really
think
cute
it's
house.
becoming more common that people are just not getting insurance, and it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you got cash for a house, maybe you got cash to self-insure. Um, no, but I think that, one of the differences between your market and ours, I mean, like what Sherry was saying, we are blown away by the breadth of knowledge you have on the types of properties from new construction to the rural to a city setting. I think for us, our competitiveness is more on how we present ourselves to beat out other agents. So we spend more time doing podcasts to kind of distinguish ourselves. Like we're knowledgeable. Listen to all the things that we know and the people that we know about the business. Though we do pride ourselves on knowing about houses. My background's in construction, so I have some experience there. But I I think that the difference between the three of us and a lot of people with a real estate license is that it's a full-time job and we are hustling every day to make ourselves better, whether it's knowing our market, knowing our product, or knowing the laws around it. And I th I don't know about you, but I find it kind of an exciting puzzle to figure out every day. What are some things that you like about being in real estate that maybe surprise you or that that is part of why you do it?
So you said puzzle. I love the problem solving. I
Yeah.
do. And my transaction coordinator teases me because I bring her like some of the most difficult. She's like, this is a Jen deal. That's what she'll say. This is a Jen. Because I don't shy away from a difficult transaction. I've had clients call me and be like, you probably don't want this. I'm like, of course I do. What is it? Let's do it. So I love just being that, making that difference to bring that positive outcome. And if it is difficult, then it's just that much better when we can make it happen,
Yeah.
you know? So that's one of the reasons I like it. I love helping people. I mean, that's the core of it. It wouldn't matter what profession I was in, it would be that I like helping people. Some of my best friends I met because they started out as clients. If anything, I get a little too close to my clients because, they just become like family. I mean, it's the biggest decision of, one of the biggest decisions. I'm not gonna say the biggest, but it's one of the biggest decisions that they make, and you're with them for that, right? The whole way through it, emotionally tied to that and making that happen. And I'm just always so passionate about not only getting the right property, not settling, getting the best price, negotiating, and just making sure that it's absolutely what they wanted and that they had the best experience that they've ever had. That's my goal.
That's exactly how we feel about it. The first line of our listing book is "We love helping people." That's
It's
why we
reward.
do.
I mean, it's so rewarding.
Yeah. We just had a class on Wednesday of last week. We taught a class on the client agent relationship and improving it for our broker. And Adam talked about what's your why. And everybody's like, oh, it's my kids, or it's my, I want this, or I want that. It's really about helping people. That's why we do this.
Yeah. Yes, I explicitly was saying your why can't be your kids or a vacation or a second car for multiple reasons, because that would be true about any job. And two, your clients will sniff that out. If you're not in it for your clients, um, you won't be successful, and two, you won't enjoy it as much. Because like I was listening to you talk about, the challenging puzzle, and the smile on your face wasn't a grimace. It was like those are the ones that count the most. Like you get done with it, you're like, I did something that most agents couldn't even get a sniff at, and I did that for my client. My client got what they wanted because of I was capable.
Yeah.
It
I
makes
love that too, actually. Our broker gives us the hard ones.
you,
If she thinks nobody else can do it, she gives it to us and we get it done.
And it's not, I mean, of course I need to make a living. This is, what I do, right? This is my livelihood, but it's never about the paycheck. It isn't. I mean, some of the most
Can't be.
difficult deals are the lesser expensive properties. It's really interesting. And I'm just as passionate. Doesn't matter if it's a $50,000 mobile home or in my area, not like yours, if it's, over 3 million, that's a big listing in my
Yeah.
area. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's absolutely true because there's two different clients that we've referred to you. I mean, we've referred more than that, but one of them, you were the second agent, and the first agent just neglected them completely, and it wasn't a huge dollar point, and they were so satisfied having interacted with you that they felt really cared for. So I was really, and that was a close friend of mine, so I was very appreciative of that. And the other one was a challenging situation. It was bereavement. What's the word I'm looking for? Bereavement, bereavement. That's the word I'm looking for. I speak English. Uh, and it was very challenging in that context. And all the feedback I got from my friend on this side was how gracious you were and detailed and attending to them. It was a family member, but attending to them, and so what you say about enjoying the ones that are hard and not worrying about the price point, it has absolutely been true in a couple of referrals that we've sent you. Sherry and I think about one of our most rewarding transactions that we did was a young couple who needed to get their finances in order, and it took a couple years, and they bought probably the least expensive home in Contra Costa County. It was a mobile home, which are a little bit different. And the day it took a couple of years to get their finances in order, and then to find them what was really a
What
fixer
they
up.
could afford.
Yeah, and we handed them the keys, and they cried. And
Oh
you're
my
just like,
gosh,
that's it, I'm
You're
done.
chills.
that's everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting a little teary-eyed just thinking about it because you're like,
Gonna be a little teary-eyed.
you change somebody's life. I mean, like, for
No,
all the clients that we have, that money comes and goes, and obviously we still serve them with our full hearts. But there's a few clients where that the way that we show up made a huge difference in their lives. And it's like, yeah, those are the ones that get you through the hard transactions.
Yeah.
completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. We're winding down here a little bit. Anything else you want to tell us about your market, or things that things that we should know when we send you referrals?
Well, I guess the thing I'm going to say about this market is, 2024 was pretty rough for a lot of agents. I was still incredibly blessed to have, quite a few referrals and a good amount of, business. But this year's pipeline is already larger and looking really good. So I'm super optimistic about the coming year. Um, Sellers seem to be coming back into the market. I'm just looking for the rest of the buyers to come. I know hopefully this is just gonna have a more normal market, as far as inventory. So that's gonna be helpful, more to choose from.
Yeah.
I would just, buyers just not to be scared to get into the market, not to wait for interest rates to drop. I feel like there's just been so much information out there for now, what, I don't know, 2 years, rates are going to drop, and, dating
Not
the
good
rate,
at all.
all this stuff that's just, if you want to move and you're ready to move, you don't necessarily need to wait. What you need is an educated real estate agent or broker, like you guys, to to be able to facilitate maybe a rate buy down. Maybe there's a way to get where you want to go without waiting for the interest rates to drop. So I'd say to the buyers, if you want to buy, this could still be your year. You just need someone who can negotiate for you.
That's really
Absolutely.
great advice. Sounds
Thanks.
like your market's similar to ours, where we had a rough 2024. We did okay, the two of us, but we have a glut of inventory that we're sitting on, and we think other agents do too. And so maybe it will be a more balanced market
Yeah.
for a change. I can't remember the last time we had that, 2018 or 19, maybe.
I
And
think,
as agents with our listings, we just have to educate our sellers that this these are interesting times. You just don't overprice your property. It's
right.
not going to sell. Um, you might have to make some concessions. You might have to do some repairs. You might have to give a credit for some buy down on rates. If you want your property to sell, this is what you need to do. And if they listen, their house will sell.
Yes.
Do you think she's talking to me right now? I think she's talking to me right now. I'm listening. I'm listening.
I know you guys feel the same way. I wish
Absolutely.
that message would, resonate with more folks.
Yeah.
Adam's lucky that his house that he has on the market is in Oakland, which is a very active market. And Oakland is the last market that changes. Changes happen probably out where you are first. They work their way into Stockton, then into Brentwood, Antioch, and then they hit us. And Oakland is the last bastion. I mean, the recession didn't hit them until 2 years after it hit everybody else. And so, and they have an interesting way of pricing houses in the Oakland Hills and the Berkeley Hills and in Rockridge, where Adam's family home is. They price everything between 20, intentionally price everything between 20 and 30% under what they think it's going to sell for. It is a very interesting market.
Yeah.
And then
Just
it drives
pricing.
up, but sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly. You have to know about that 20%
Mhm.
rule is what I call it. Sometimes it's a 30% rule. And then you got to hope that you priced it right.
Yeah.
Well, and I always tell my clients at a listing, do not list your price at less than you're willing to take for your property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in this area. Don't do that because you might get one.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder Adam's such a wreck. Oh, wait, did I say that out
Yeah.
loud?
Thank you for that.
Oh, by the way, Sherry, Adam wanted me to ask if there was any offers.
Let me check.
I love you, Jen. I love you.
Gosh, I'm being ganged up on.
Yeah. Do you
Well,
want
now
to cut?
he's
You want
having
to cut?
offers. He's moving up here.
That's right.
Exactly. We'll
All
both
right.
move up there. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Oh,
I want
this
to
is
brag on
working out. I've got all the quilting shops. It's going to be great.
That's right.
Yes, I know all our quilt shops are closing, so you guys still have good ones up there. Mhm.
Um, well, the last comment, and then we'll go to the speed round questions. Even Joanne Fabric in Concord is closing.
Yes,
So it's not a quilt shop, but
the
it's
quilters don't shop there
yeah, but it's got all the notions.
We've
So
got Joanne's
yeah. All right.
so far.
so far.
How many people in your brokerage?
So I am a small brokerage. So my partner and I, um, we're the owners. So his name is Chris Mann, and he's a local accountant. He was my broker before I became a broker, and then we partnered. My husband is an associate broker, and then
Okay.
my daughter is a licensed agent. And then I have another agent as well right now. He's just doing a referral only. And then I have a transaction coordinator and an office staff person. So it's
Oh
not
my
it's a
goodness.
smaller boutique.
We call ourselves a boutique, but we've got 180 agents.
Yeah, I'm a mini boutique.
You're a
Right.
mini boutique. Yes, yes. All family, it seems like mostly. Yes.
I love the independence of having my own brokerage. There's been so many times I've talked with some wonderful companies and I understood the appeal of a larger company, but I just couldn't give up that independence. And I love that as the broker and owner of my own company, I can make decisions directly when I'm sitting with a client
Yep.
and it's just between us. It's
Yeah.
just between us.
That's
Yeah.
why we work for Dudem, because we have a broker owner who is local and doesn't have to report to shareholders or managers or people like that. If we need something, if we ask her and she can make a decision, on the spot for us. And she sold for years. She was a top agent Walnut Creek for 15 years, so she knows what we're doing out there. She knows what it's like. So we're
Nice.
But
lucky to
but
have her.
sorry, but kudos to you because the idea of running your own business, I mean, obviously we run a business like, but by we're happy to pass on some of those other responsibilities to our broker that we don't have to negotiate,
Mhm.
insurance and
Mhm.
platforms and websites. And so kudos to you for wearing all those hats and being a top producer in your area. It's really we have all the awe and respect for what you're doing. It's not easy.
All right, speed round. Are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
All right, Jen. Home Depot or Lowe's?
Lowe's.
Oh, uh, Property Brothers or This Old House?
I don't
Yeah.
Oh.
know.
Granite or quartz?
What was it?
Granite or quartz?
This is a tough speed round.
They don't matter. You just say what comes to your head at the
I
top.
can only say one. Can I have a can I have an explanation?
Anything.
Sure, we're
Anything.
going to make an exception for you.
Okay, thank you. I like quartz, but stop with the white quartz.
There's a lot of white quartz out
It's
there
too much.
and gray walls. We're
It's
finally getting away from gray walls. DIY or hire a handyman?
well, hire a handyman.
Yes. Martha Stewart or Chip and Joanna?
I'm gonna go with Chip and Joanna.
Okay. All right. And last one, what are three things that are always in your trunk?
Toilet paper, a lockbox, and an umbrella.
Oh, good answer. Really good answer.
That, those are the best real estate
There's some
answers.
shoes in there. There's some, but those pretty much always there.
Yeah.
Before I was an agent, I worked in marketing and advertising in San Francisco. And one of my clients, her earthquake kit was a pair of running shoes, $100 bill, and a pack of Camel's cigarettes, unfiltered cigarettes. That was her earthquake kit. You can tell how long ago it was because she only needed a $100 bill.
Yeah. Um, the toilet paper for those of you listening to this, when you're showing homes or you have an open house, you just like it's a surprise that there isn't like it's one of those things. And I don't know about you, Jen, but I don't I can't go into an open house without noticing that the toilet seat is up. Like, can you not put the toilet seat down before you take
Or
the
in photography, Adam.
yeah,
Yes.
What are you doing?
like yeah, you had one job. Seriously, one
Good
job.
job. That's
We have to send you a picture. We were showing a house in Lafayette about 2 years ago, and we went into the master bedroom, and apparently they had wanted to add on a master bathroom, primary bathroom, pardon me, but there was no place to do it, but they had a deck. And so they put a sliding glass door. There was a sliding glass door to the deck, and they put a master bathroom on the deck, and then they put another sliding glass door on the other side of the deck. I'll have to send you a picture. Basically, there was a
They never took the original sliding glass door out. So there's the bed, there's the sliding glass door, and there's the toilet.
with a
okay.
view of the yard off and beyond, with no walls hiding when you're in the shower or going to the bathroom. I'll send you a picture when we're done.
I have some pictures I can share with you too.
My bad.
We should have a podcast where we tell our craziest stories.
Yeah.
Whole
Yeah.
bunch of agents.
I've got some doozies and they
Yeah,
involve toilet paper, but we'll save it for another show.
we'll
Sounds
invite you.
well, everybody. This has been a great episode. Jen, thanks so much for joining us. And we will put all of her contact info in our show notes. So if you are looking for a home or you have a home to sell in the Sacramento, Placer, El Dorado area, she will be your gal. It's been a pleasure to send you referrals over the years and such a blessing to have you on our podcast today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you, Jen.
If
Take
you
care.
all li- if you all liked our podcast, be sure to subscribe and like and refer us to all your friends and family. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.